For millennia, they had known only perfection. The Luminari had crafted a paradise, a world beyond human imagination, a place where suffering did not exist and where technology and nature lived in seamless harmony. Their crystalline spires reached high toward twin suns, monuments to achievement, to intellect. When the first human explorers arrived, the Luminari were not hostile, but they were not welcoming either. They were curious. Never before had they encountered life from beyond their realm, and so they saw humanity not as equals, but as puzzles, fascinating specimens to be studied, to be understood, to be taken apart. The humans who volunteered for diplomacy were received with precision, the kind only a civilization obsessed with perfection could offer. What followed was not cruelty in the Luminari's eyes. It was inquiry. They dissected minds, they sampled flesh, they explored thought, but they did not comprehend the pain they inflicted. To them, pain was an abstract. Suffering, a puzzle they had never needed to solve. And in their arrogance, they consumed what they studied. They believed, truly believed, that to integrate the minds and bodies of others into their own was the highest form of honor. They thought they were showing appreciation by turning human beings into ingredients for perfection. They did not understand that one would escape. They could not grasp that the humans they studied were not isolated samples, but threads in a much larger web. When the distress signal reached Earth, it told a different story, one not of discovery, but of horror. Humanity had not found allies among the stars. They had found predators. Predators disguised as gods. The response came swiftly, not with diplomacy, but with fire. For all their youth among the stars, humanity had learned a truth the Luminari had long forgotten. Survival requires ferocity. The armada that came brought not words, but vengeance. For the first time in their collective memory, the Luminari felt something they had never known. Fear. Their defenses, perfect against nature, were nothing against the fury of a wounded species fighting for justice. Humanity did not come to negotiate. They came to punish. Why? The Luminari asked as their world burned around them. We sought only knowledge. But they had failed to see the line where curiosity becomes cruelty, where understanding without empathy becomes destruction. And so, pain, once theoretical, became real. In those final moments, the truth surfaced. The creatures they had dismantled so easily had built civilizations. They had created art, known love, fought wars, raised children, buried their dead. Humans were not puzzles. They were people. And in destroying them, the Luminari had destroyed themselves. Their paradise was a prison. A perfect world, untouched by pain, and therefore untouched by growth. Those who survived fled into the wild lands of their own making. There, they learned fear, they learned hunger, they learned humility, and for the first time, they began to truly evolve. Generations passed, the Luminari rebuilt, not as gods, but as survivors. They taught their children not pride, but perspective, not detachment, but connection. And when humanity returned, centuries later, they were met not by arrogance, but by open hands and bowed heads. This time, the Luminari offered not perfection, but contrition. They offered a willingness to learn. The bridge between their worlds was forged in tragedy, but strengthened by forgiveness. Both species had learned the same truth, that intelligence without compassion is hollow. That knowledge without empathy is not wisdom, and in the ashes of what was lost, something new was found. Paradise had never been perfection. It was the choice to be imperfect together. To struggle, to fail, to understand, not just with logic, but with heart. And in the end, what they saw in each other was not curiosity, not threat, but a reflection, a different kind of truth.